Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing a list of books that I need to finish before 2021 is over. I was aiming for 21 books to finish in 2021, but the thought of having to read 21 more books genuinely scared me. So I decided to settle for 11 books that I hope to finish by the end of the year, and hopefully that is doable. Now, most of these books are books that I simply am just really interested in and haven't gotten the chance to read in the past year, which is absolutely annoying to hear myself say, because I'm someone who obsessively buys books when I really should not be, because I have a million other ones on my shelf that I haven't read. So today I'm here discussing the top 21 books that I still need to read by the end of this year in an attempt to hold myself accountable. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. The first book that I want to make sure I read by the end of the year is Circe by Madeline Miller. Madeline Miller is the author of The Song of Achilles, which I'm sure most of you have probably heard of, and The Song of Achilles is one of my favorite books of all time. Therefore, I feel like it's kind of disgusting that I haven't read her other very well-known and highly praised book, Circe. So I am going to hopefully get to this by the end of the year. From what I know, it's just simply a retelling of the story of the Greek goddess Circe. And I don't know if it's pronounced Circe or Circe. I don't even know if there's a difference with what I'm saying. But I also recently watched the Marvel movie The Eternals and absolutely loved it, and the main character's name was Circe. So if that wasn't a sign to read this book, I don't know what is. The next book that I need to get to on this list is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This book has plagued my life for 2 years. This book has been sitting on my shelf for 2 years and I still haven't picked it up. I think part of the reason is I have a small fear inside of me that as soon as I start reading this, I won't understand anything that's happening and I'm gonna have the urge to go back and reread the entire Hunger Games series, because if you didn't know, this is the prequel to the Hunger Games. I don't think that will happen, but there's a small part of me that's terrified, and I really have no inkling to go back and reread the whole series. So I'm really hoping that I can just sort of dive into this as a completely brand new and separate entity of the Hunger Games, even though it's the same characters, sort of, not really, but some overlapping characters. But basically the other thing that has stopped me from picking up this book in the past 2 years is the name. I cannot tell you how much it annoys me that it's called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It should be called The Ballad of Snakes and Songbirds. That just makes so much more sense in my brain. Anyway, I am very excited to read this book, which I'm sure it comes as a surprise from the way that I was just talking about this book. No, but I do love Suzanne Collins and I'm excited to pick this one up. The next book that I want to read before the year ends is a book called Swallow by Sam Schill. Now this book was one that I saw at my local bookstore and picked it up because I thought the cover art was absolutely incredible. I mean, tell me that's not the coolest cover you've ever seen. And two, it is, I believe, self-published through Wattpad. And I saw it at the bookstore and just thought it looked cool. It was around Halloween time when I bought this. It looks like a horror. From what I can gather, it's sort of a revenge story of this girl. I really don't know much about it. I don't know if it's realistic. I don't know if it's, completely sci-fi or supernatural. I'm going into this blind, but I thought it looked cool and I really want to get to it soon because I am in the mood for a thriller, and this one's short and I think I can fly through it as well. The next book that I'm excited to read is You've Reached Sam. And before I tell you too much about this book was one of my most anticipated releases of this year, and I saw it at Target the other day. It was 20% off, and I said, yes, please. I mean, it's short, it's a beautiful cover. I mean, come on, look at this. And to everything that I've heard about this book so far has been nothing but praise, so I'm so excited to get into this. I am a little scared because I know that it's going to be an emotional read. Basically, the plot of this book is this girl's boyfriend dies, I believe. I'm not sure how he dies, but I know that she's no longer in this relationship with him because he passed. And one night she calls his phone in an effort to hear his voice again, and he answers the phone. So it sounds just so intriguing. There's so many different lanes that this book could take, and I'm so excited to read it and see what I think about it. The next book that I need to read before the year's out is The Silent Patient. Again, I can't believe I haven't read this book yet. I really, really love The Maidens, and this is his first release, and so I am so intrigued by this book, by the plot of it, and I'm just kind of shocked that I haven't picked it up yet, especially because it's not super long. Again, it's a thriller. It was just Halloween. I missed my chance. I know, I'm sorry. Anyway, I can't wait to read this. I'm hoping that I can read this relatively quickly, maybe in like 2 or 3 days over Christmas vacation, so hopefully that's how that goes. And yeah, I'm excited to get to it. The next book on this list is a bit different. This is 1984 by George Orwell, and this is one of the many classics I have yet to read, and so I've sort of made it a point to try and attempt to read a classic every couple months. And the last classic I read, I believe, was White Noise by Don DeLillo, and so that was, I think, like 2 months ago, so I'm really excited to get into another classic. I really don't know what this is about. This is just an old copy that I found, and I'm excited to see what I think. I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna like this, if I'm gonna hate it. I really don't know what it's about, but I know it's a classic, and I thought the cover looked cool and it looked really vintage. So the aesthetic part of my brain said, read it, Stella, and so that's what I'm here to do. So hopefully I will get to this soon as well. And yeah, it'll be a journey. Maybe I'll do like a reading vlog for it or something. I really don't know. We'll see. The next book on this list is another book that I am disgusted I haven't read yet, and that is Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I'm a huge Court of Thorns and Roses fan. I adore that series with all of my heart, and the fact that I haven't read any other Sarah J. Maas books besides this one, or besides A Court of Thorns and Roses, is really like troubling to me. And so yes, I did impulsively buy both this and Throne of Glass to start to read because I love Sarah J. Maas. Why wouldn't I read her other books? But the thing is, this is 800 pages long, and this is a like 70 book series. I'm so intimidated. Like, honestly, I am so excited to read these, but I'm also so scared. Like, what if I don't like them? What if I give up halfway through the series? Like, there are so many thoughts going on in my brain, but I know for a fact I want to get through this one before the second book in the series comes out, and everything that I've heard is that this book lives up to the Sarah J. Maas standard that we all know and love, so I'm excited to dive into this one as well as soon as I can muster up the courage to actually start it. The next book on this list is Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall, and this is a book that I saw at Target. Surprise, surprise, I bought a book at Target, and basically I thought this looked really, really interesting. I'm someone who's an aspiring feminist, and I'm always looking to learn a little bit more, and I thought this one looked really interesting because it discussed a lot of topics within feminism that I don't think are talked about enough. So I'm so excited to get into this. I'm hoping to annotate it and be able to really devote my time to reading this thoroughly, which is why I think I haven't started it yet, because I want to be in the right headspace when I read this. But again, I do want to finish this before the year's up, and I'm just really excited to learn a little bit more about feminism. Okay, so the next 2 books on my list are 2 books that I have started. One of them I have been reading since July, and the other I have been reading since September. Both of which are books that I am thoroughly enjoying, but I'm just taking an insane amount of time to get through because they are incredibly dense and or slightly boring at times. First is The Godfather by Mario Puzo. Surprising that this is a slow book. Who would have guessed it? Not me. No, of course this book is known for being extremely long and like slow, which I knew going into it, and yet I still decided to read it. If you didn't know or gather, I am very Italian, and I recently watched the movie Godfather, and I have many thoughts on that movie. If you guys are interested in a movie review video, let me know. I won't get into it too much now, but I did really want to read the book, so I got about halfway through and then kind of set it aside so I could just watch the movie, and, you know, so I could finally say that I watched the movie, you know. But I am really interested to finish the book and see the difference between the book and the movie. It's such like a lengthy read. It's really taking me forever, but I am about halfway through, so that is something to be encouraged by, and so hopefully I can finish this by January. The final book on this list is also another book that I am in the middle of, and that is Dune by Frank Herbert. There's a movie that just came out for this. I originally bought this book and picked it up to start reading because I wanted to see the movie, and I wanted to read the book before the movie came out, and I am on chapter 2 of this and still have not seen the movie. So I am really hoping that this picks up. I feel like this is such a controversial book right now, not because of its content, but because of the different ways people are feeling about this book in terms of pace and in terms of density. Maybe it's just because I'm a younger, newer reader. Maybe it's because I'm not really huge into sci-fi, but so far I've had to read the cliff notes for every section of this book because I don't understand what's going on. And I really, really want to. And from what I gather, it's interesting, right? But I think I'm not far enough into it yet to be able to properly judge how I feel about things that are going on. So this is a book that I definitely need to have my iPad next to me while reading so I can like look at the cliff notes as I'm reading the passages, because honestly this book has just been so confusing for me to read. And I think part of it is just I'm still in school, so a lot of my reading gets done in like study halls and in between classes. So a lot of times I don't have time to like sit there and be really invested into a book. And I think that this is a book that requires that much energy and attentiveness because of the content and because of how like dense the text is. So again, it's not a difficult book to read, but it's just, it requires a lot of focus, and that's hard for me to have sometimes. So I think maybe there's a potential that I could switch to the audiobook and maybe that would help, but I'm not sure. I am pretty interested in the story. I am pretty set on wanting to read it manually, but if it comes down to it, I will pick up the audiobook to finish this book. Wish me luck on my journey to complete this list by the end of the year. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check out my Etsy shop, which is linked down below. I sell stationery, stickers, cards, etc. And make sure to follow me on social media as well, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.